Hello, students. I hope you all are safe and secure. So, today we'll study a new chapter, that is Louis Pasteur, Conqueror of Disease, written by E.H. Carter. So, we'll begin with the lesson now. On the field of battle, in one of his campaigns, Napoleon decorated for bravery a certain tanner named Pasteur. This brave soldier had an equally brave son, Louis Pasteur, born 7 years after Waterloo. He was not a soldier, but he was a fighter. So, the writer talks about Napoleon in the first paragraph. Napoleon is a French emperor and he had won a lot of battles and he was a military leader. So, during one of his campaigns, there was a tanner called Pasteur. And who is a tanner? One who makes animal skin into leather. That is, he uses the animal skin and turns into leather. And that person is called a tanner. So he had a certain tanner, and that's his name was Pasteur. And this Pasteur, he had a brave son, and his name was Louis Pasteur, and he was born 7 years after Waterloo. Waterloo is a very famous war between the French and the Britishers and the Russians, and the French were defeated. So he was born after 7 years of that, and he was not a soldier, but he was a fighter. He fought disease. He devoted his life to the study of what we sometimes call germs, which men of science call bacteria, a Greek word meaning little rods. Bacteria are vegetable organisms, little rod shaped plants which exist in the air, water, and soil, and in the bodies of animals and plants. Some, but not all, are the causes of diseases. Some convert matter into food for plants. So, what did Louis Pasteur fight? He fought diseases and he devoted his entire life to the study of germs. In science, we call it as bacteria, and bacteria is a Greek word which means little rods. It's called because of its shapes. Now, bacteria, they are organisms of little rod-shaped plant types and they exist in the air, water and soil and also in the bodies of animals and plants. But all these bacteria, like all the bacteria that are present, they are not the causes of diseases. That is, every bacteria doesn't cause diseases. Some bacteria, they help to convert food for plants. Louis Pasteur had a very busy and interesting life. He not only made some exciting discoveries about germs, but he was able to use his discoveries in very practical ways. He worked hard in his laboratory with test tubes and all kinds of experiments. But nearly all the time he was working to help people who were suffering in some special way from disease. Among the people whom Pasteur was able to help were brewers, breeders of silkworms, and cow keepers, all of whom were trying to carry on important industries in France. Pasteur was always very proud of being able to help his country in this way. Now we come to know that the Louis Pasteur, he had a very busy and interesting life. So what was his life about? He had done a lot of discoveries about germs, but he was able to use his discoveries in very practical ways. And most of the time he used to work in his laboratories with his test tubes and all kinds of experiments, and he worked very hard, and it was almost like everything he would do, all the experiments, it was the main purpose was to help people who were suffering from some special way or from some disease so that he can help them through something. And the people that he helped were brewers, breeders of silkworms, and cow keepers. Now, who are brewers? One who makes beer, breeders of silkworm to make silk, and also cow keepers. So these three were the most important industries in France at that time. So he used to help those three people a lot. And Pasteur, since he was from France, he was very happy and he was very proud that he was being able to help or contribute towards his country in some or the other way. Louis Pasteur, born in a little French country town, was interested in chemistry when he was very young. After studying hard in Paris and showing great promise, he began to teach and lecture as professor of chemistry. He became a professor at Strasbourg in Alsace, and he married a wife who was always to be his closest companion and assistant. Now, Louis Pasteur was not born in a big city or anything. He was just born in a small little country town, and he was interested in chemistry from a very young age. His favorite subject was chemistry, and after studying hard in his school and his college, he began to teach and lecture as professor of chemistry. He became a professor, and he became a professor at Strasbourg in Alsace. That is the name of a place, and you pronounce it as Alsace. And he married a wife, that is, he married a girl, and she was his closest companion and assistant also. Pasteur was deeply interested in all the new experiments that were being made in chemistry and decided to solve some of the difficult problems that were worrying chemists and other scientists. Sometimes he used to sit for hours, quite silent and motionless, thinking hard about one of his difficulties. He found this the easiest way to solve a problem, and when he thought of a solution, his kind, tired looking face would brighten with pleasure and excitement, and he would rush round to tell his discovery to his wife and to others who were helping him. Now, the writer tells us that Pasteur was deeply interested in all the new experiments that were being made in chemistry, and he decided to solve some of the difficult problems that were worrying the chemist and other scientists. That is, many experiments were being done not only by Pasteur but even other scientists. But he also decided that he will also contribute something. And sometimes he would just sit quiet for hours, just thinking, sitting silent and thinking about the solutions of those problems. And when finally he would get the solution, he would be so happy that the tired face or the tiredness that he had on his face, it would just vanish, and he would just run about to tell his discovery or his solutions to his wife or to the people who were helping him. In 1854, Pasteur was appointed head of a college of science at Lille, a busy manufacturing town in the northeast of France. He was pleased about this because he always felt that trades and industries could be helped very much by the researches of men of science. His chance to be useful soon came. Now, in the year 1854, Pasteur was appointed as the head of a college and at Lille, a busy manufacturing town in the northeast of France. So he was very happy that he got that post, not because he wanted it. The main thing that he wanted was he was very happy when he got this post, because he always thought that the trade and the industry, they could help very much in the field of science. That is, they could get a lot of things to experiment. And finally his chance had come. Pasteur, as a young chemist, had always been interested in the problems of why and how living things decay, why milk turns sour, why meat goes bad, why wine ferments. He started to give some lectures in Lille on fermentation. One of the chief industries in Lille was a manufacture of alcohol from beetroot, and he was fortunate in being able to carry out experiments in some of the breweries. One manufacturer consulted Pasteur about his beer, which was turning out badly, and Pasteur, by helping this brewer, managed to discover all sorts of things that he did not know before about yeast. Yeast is used to make beer foam and bread rise up lightly. Pasteur became certain that yeast was alive, made up of tiny living cells. When these cells were healthy, the yeast acted well, but if they were diseased, the yeast and the beer went wrong. Pasteur was a very young chemist. He was very young at that time, and he always had been interested in in all the problems of why and how. He always used to think of something and used to think why does it happen or how did it happen. That was his main questions. So few of them were how living things decay, or why milk turns sour, or why meat goes bad, or why wine ferments, that is changes. So he started to give some lectures in Lille, in that place, on fermentation. What is fermentation? Changes done by chemical reactions involving the bacteria. So he started giving lectures on it, and one of the chief industries in Lille was the manufacture of alcohol from beetroot. And he was very fortunate, that is, Louis Pasteur was very fortunate that this person came and asked his help. So he had come there, one manufacturer had come and consulted Pasteur about his beer which was turning bad, that is, it would get spoiled. So Pasteur started doing many sort of experiments on it, on knowing what was the main issue. And when he started doing all those experiments, he realized a lot of things about yeast which he never knew. And what is yeast? It is a type of fungus. So yeast is used to make beer foam. The foam is done because of the yeast, and also in breads it is used to rise it up lightly and to make it soft. So Pasteur became certain, he became sure now, after studying and doing a lot of experiments, he realized that yeast was alive. It's not a non-living thing, but it is a living thing, and it is made up of tiny living cells inside it. And whenever these cells were healthy or they are perfect, the yeast acted perfectly. The beer would not go wrong. But in case those yeast or those tiny living cells were diseased or spoiled, the yeast and the beer went wrong. After a few years, Pasteur was made director of scientific studies at a famous college in Paris. He was still thinking about decay and yeast and germs, and one of the problems that he was trying to answer was this: do germs form from other germs, or do they just come out of themselves? People like Pasteur believed that germs were carried in the air and might infect other things that came in contact with them. Others believed in what they called spontaneous generation. That is, they believed that germs had no parents but just occurred by themselves. Now, after a few years, Pasteur, after being the head of a college, now he became the director of a scientific studies at a famous college in Paris. And he was still thinking about this decay, yeast, germs, bacteria. And the only question that was roaming inside his head was, do germs form from other germs, or do they just come off themselves? He wanted to know whether they are born out of the other germs or they just are created by themselves. So people like Pasteur, they believed that germs were carried in the air and might infect other things that came in contact with them. That is, coming in contact with the other one and immediately it starts generating. But others, what did they think? They thought of spontaneous generation. And what is that? They believed that germs had no parents. It did not need any parent germ. It would just be created or occurred by themselves. Pasteur proved that he was right by a very simple and clever experiment. He put some soup into some bottles and then he boiled it in order to destroy any germs that might already be in the soup. After that, he heated and pulled out the neck of each bottle until it formed a long narrow neck with a big bend in the middle. The soup remained there for a long time, and it never went bad as it would have done if it had been standing in a bowl in the kitchen. That, said Pasteur, is because there are no parent germs in the soup, and they cannot reach it because of the bend in the long tube. So he took one of the bottles and split a little of the soup down the tube so that it settled in the bend. This soup went bad. We often speak of dust traps. Well, This bend in the tube was a dust trap because the dust, which as we know now may carry germs with it, could get as far as the bend but no farther, and it settled there and infected the soup. Now, Pasteur, he proved that whatever he told was right, and he proved it in a very simple and a very clever experiment. And what was it? He took some soup in some bottles and then he boiled it in order to destroy any germs that might already be in the soup. Normally, what we do when we take some water, we try to boil it so that the germs in it are dead, or we kill it to destroy. So same thing, he took some soup and he boiled it. Okay, after that he heated and pulled out the neck of each bottle until it formed a long narrow neck with a big bend in the middle. Okay, it's just seen as in the picture. So he had elongated the neck of the bottle. Now the soup remained there for a long time and it never went bad. It never went bad. But after that, what did he do? After doing this experiment, he said that is because there are no parent germs in the soup and they cannot reach it because of the bend in the long tube. So it is, there are no parent germs in it, that's why it cannot recreate or create itself, and it cannot reach the soup because of the long gap there. So now he wanted to prove it. So he took one of the bottles, split a little of the soup down the tube so that it settles in the bend. And what happened? The soup went bad. Why? It is because of the dust traps that we call. What are dust traps? Nothing but the dust, which as we know, it carries germs in it. The air carries germs in it. So here he is telling these dust particles which were present in the bottle could not reach the soup. That's why the soup was perfect. It did not get spoiled. But what happened as soon as we brought in contact with the dust particles, immediately it got spoiled. So it infected the soup. This is only one of many hundreds of experiments which Pasteur made to show how full the air is of dust particles and how germs may be carried by this dust. One very useful experiment was made to show the difference between pure and stale air. Pasteur again filled some bottles with soup. He took some into a little hotel bedroom where the air hardly ever changed, broke their necks off so that the air could enter freely, and after a few minutes sealed them up again. He then took some bottles into a field nearby and did the same with them. Finally, he opened some on top of a high mountain and again sealed them up. What was the result? When they were examined, the bottles opened in the hotel bedroom were full of soup which had gone completely moldy. The bottles opened in the field were moldy but not quite so bad. Those opened on the mountain had no germs in them at all. Now, that was one of the many experiments that Pasteur had done. Now, he had done one more experiment, and that about the pure and the stale air. So, what is pure and stale air? What is stale air? Not fresh. So, he had done one more experiment which showed the difference between the pure and the stale, that is dry or no longer fresh air. So what did he do? Again he took soup in some bottles, and one of the bottle he took in a little hotel bedroom. Why? Because there the air hardly ever changes. Okay, it's a closed bedroom. There he opened the bottle, he let it free for some time so that the air inside that room gets inside the bottle. After that he sealed it, that is, he closed the bottle and he kept it. Similarly, he went to a field and there also he did the same. He took one more bottle, over there he opened it and again he closed it after some time, taking the air inside the bottle of the field. Again, the third one, what he did was he went finally to one high mountain top and there also he repeated it. But what was the result? When they examined, he realized that the bottle which was opened in the hotel bedroom that soup had turned completely moldy. What is moldy? It is covered with those soft greenish material that grows on bread, fungus. It was fully spoilt. Whereas the other, which was opened in the field, was moldy but not as much as the previous one. And the one which he opened in the mountain top, on top of the mountain, that had no germs in them at all. Why? Because it was fresh air. It doesn't contain any germs in it. Nowadays, we pay a great deal of attention to pure air, open windows, to freedom from dust, to garden cities. Pasteur was one of the first to show how necessary all these are if we are to fight against germs and disease. So nowadays we pay a lot of attention towards pure air, correct? We keep our windows open, we try to go and relax in some park so that we take fresh air because it is very important for our health also. So Pasteur was one of the first to show how necessary all these things are to fight these germs and diseases in our day-to-day life. Another very useful discovery of Pasteur's while he was working in Paris was the process which we now call after him pasteurization. Some French wine growers were troubled by a germ which had turned their wine sour. Pasteur showed that by heating the wine or milk or whatever it might be to a temperature of 50 to or 60 degrees centigrade, the germs were made harmless. Pasteurized milk is milk which has been treated in this way and then sealed to prevent more germs from entering. And Pasteur is known for a lot of things that he has done, but there's one more thing that he is very famous for is the process that we call after him, and that is pasteurization. So what is pasteurization? So some French wine growers, they were very troubled by some germs which had turned their wine sour. It would spoil the wine. So what did Pasteur say? He showed that by heating the wine or milk or whatever it might be to a temperature of 50 to 60 degrees centigrade, the germs were made harmless. That's why nowadays whatever milk you get, the packets, it is pasteurized milk. That is, the milk is already heated to 50 to 60 degrees. That is, all the germs are made harmless or killed and destroyed, and then that milk is used and it is sealed. Why is it sealed? So that no other new germs can enter. That's why they seal it, to prevent. Louis Pasteur was what we should call an all-round scientist. All the research which he did in his laboratories was meant to help his fellow human beings. It would be impossible to imagine Pasteur experimenting with explosives or poison gas. Now, Louis Pasteur, what we should call him as an all round scientist, because he has done so many experiments and he has helped mankind in such a great manner. So, all the research which he did in his laboratories, the main intention was to help all the human beings. It could be impossible for us if we would know, or we cannot even imagine that Pasteur experimenting with explosives or poison gas. That is, we cannot think that he would harm the human beings because he is so kind hearted and he always thought of the betterment of the people.